All right, guys, I don't know if you've seen this gem, but that's amazing. Look at that. Look at that.
Like the Jews don't want to take accountability.
That's
They
good.
don't.
That's
Yes.
The Jews don't want to take accountability. Now, sweethearts, please explain, what do I need to take accountability for? I don't know, you guys. And I promise nothing I do has to do with you all. So what am I supposed to take accountability for? Speaking to the void? They have a much bigger platform, so my little voice is crushed out by the algorithm and the world being ruled by Islamist, I guess, or whatever, like those mindless jerks. What do I need to take accountability for?
Yes.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
That's why, like, that was up to something, so the Germans wanted to take them out.
Like payback.
Yeah, payback. So we were up to something, so the Germans wanted to take us out. How about the Germans just lost it? Anyway, listen, at least the Germans tried, right? Sorta. So Hitler wrote a book, Mein Kampf, and they had this whole theory with eugenics and genetics, and they just disagreed with the Jewish ideology that said protect the weak. They were like, no, the strong is supposed to win and survive. And honestly speaking, Hitler was really, really true to his ideology. And when the Germans were losing, he was like, kill them all. Clearly, if we lose, we're the weak ones. The weak ones deserve to die. Fair and square. Dude had an ideology. Was he also schizophrenic and megalomaniac and had a lot of mental health issues? Yes. But he had a theory. He had an ideology. And he he worked hard to explain it. And it's not like I watch all of his speeches, but at least the Germans had a theory of why they need to take the Jews out. And they wanted to have a different theory from the communists who just were like, kill the rich, If the communists also tried way more than that. Like, for the record, I think the Berlin Jewish population was like 5% maybe, but they paid like 30% of the taxes. So they were very productive. So, the Germans just wanted their money, and then they made up stories, but at least they had a theory. Like, at least they try. And can't we just if you wanna out, at least have something. Have something like this is such a low effort. And by the way, nothing will change if you get rid of the Jews, obviously, but it's not about it. They're just angry. They're angry for some reason. They wanna, they want a punching bag, and clearly Jews are like trendy punching bag.
Germans wanted to take them out.
Like payback.
It had to be something. Like Germans wanted to take them out. All of them out.
Selfish. They started it. So get somebody
Here
mad
we
and hard,
go.
like, yeah, talk about them.
The Holocaust was the only way he can take out a huge population, like a huge amount of Jews all in one setting. But I already know what's going on. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know, like, the Jews did something. That's why they sent up here.
So she's saying she's not dumb, but I've actually heard from behind the scenes of Fresh and Fit that they wouldn't let a woman that has an IQ of 100 on, because their egos are that small. So they must look smart, and they really don't like women. So they when it blows up, like I've heard of someone who she was invited, and then she didn't make it all the way through because she wasn't stupid enough, unfortunately. Yeah, she didn't have the patience to deal with that. Pretend it's normal. And I'm not talking about the genocide theory, right? I'm talking about them being not even trying, honestly. But it's in that case, I think it was something inappropriate or something. I don't know, but it's they're not even trying. Come on.
They're trying to take back, they're trying to take back and get repercussions, especially from America.
Especially from America, from Americans. Look at them. A bunch of of privileged little kids sitting there, like they making tons of money, especially considering how dumb they are, which is amazing that you can make so much money being so stupid. I don't know why I have like a relatively high IQ. I think it's useless. I think people would have understood me better if I understood what the average person sees the world as, which I don't, unfortunately. Like, to me, it's very hard to understand what's easy to understand and what's hard to understand, because to me, most things are easy to understand. It's a side effect of having a higher than average IQ, not something I like talking about, but I think it's something that is pretty obvious for many. So, yeah, useless. Jealous. I wish I was stupid. Maybe I would have been rich by now from blabbering.
So they're taking over the government and stuff like that.
So they taken over the government and stuff like that. You know, I know they just want to kill something and they don't care about repercussions, and I guess they like self-loathing as well, so they don't even care if they're gonna go in flames when they do it. But I have to say, like, honestly speaking, like, places where Jews are not involved in the government suck. And I know you can bring like the Emirates and like the Gulf states and say, oh, they're rich, look like they're doing great. Well, behind the scenes, they invite a lot of Jews as well, so they're not stupid. They know who is good with management, usually, stereotypically, statistically speaking. Not me. I'm not good with that. Not that kind of Jew, unfortunately.
I'm telling you, how do we take them down?
How do we take them down?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I mean,
how do we take them down?
I hate to say it.
My bad, y'all.
And then they suggest to off them. And I say, listen, American Jews, get your money out of there and bring it here to the Middle East. You see, the Middle East, people around us here, they got tired of this bullshit. They really tried everything. They played with everything except the Egyptians. They're still like in the midst of trying stuff. But you know, the rest of them, a lot of them already tired. They tried and the Nazi version of Arab, like the Arab version of Nazism, which is Arab nationalism, socialism, whatever. The Ba'ath Party, they tried it. They went through it. Awful. Communism, like, you know, tried playing with socialism. Awful. Islamism, falling apart. Really, they're mentally prepared for a greater world and greater Middle East, a better Middle East. We just, you know, need funds. We need funds to start fixing things up here. And more than anything, it's the mindset that matters. You see, the Americans, they don't know what would be the consequences of their idiocracy yet. And until they try for themselves, these are not the kind of people that you can tell ahead of time. They have to try themselves. It's like, unless you, like, if you tell them, hey, fire, hot, don't touch it, they wouldn't get it. You know, in old times, people, like mothers used to put their, burn their babies a little bit just so that they would learn that fire is aya. It hurts, it's painful. So they're that kind of people. It's not going to help to tell them that fire is dangerous. They need to get burned, and severely so, because they're very dumb. And maybe 15 times, because I think that's how many times it takes for like not a very fun, like high functioning primate to understand it. But primates are smart. So I think sometimes humans need longer than the average primate as well, but you know.
Genocide. My bad.
Hitler, he had the plan, but his plan was just too very gruesome, if we can say it.
Listen, he had to do what he had to do.
But he had to do it.
Listen, he was trying to save the world.
I agree.
It didn't work out. He just didn't.
I mean, Jews are the reason why the healthcare system and everything around us in the government is collapsing.
So the Jews are the reason why the health system and the government is collapsing. Interesting theory. I say there are other ways. For example, don't vote to Jews. I don't know, like there are a lot of ways, just maybe talk to Jews, try to convince them to be better. Run yourself. You have like a huge audience. Like bring up, just write, your agenda, your policy, run for government, compete with the Jewish ideas. I don't know, do better. Of course, it's not about it. They're just angry little bitches, and they don't want to work hard or think about how to properly run anything. They just want to be like, oh, let's kill people because it's fun.
Because they're sitting up here stealing away from the American people.
And sitting there stealing away from American people. Of course, the scientific method would have been, what's life like where there are no Jews? And then we're like, maybe I would say, I would say, you know what? I don't believe in the theory like, oh, Jews don't control the world. I say, you know what? Like, let's be honest here. If you have a government and you look at the government and you don't see enough Jewish names there, I would say go and insist that there would be more Jews to rule over you, because they do better job usually. This is why Jews were invited every time there was a crisis to different kingdoms. You see, Jews weren't expelled. They were invited to all those countries. Expelled when those who loaned money, became corrupt and were like, oh, we can't pay you back, just go away. Expelled. But they were invited and then invited back and again when things were collapsing. They were like, oh shit, we need somebody to fix it, and then invite Jews. It always works. First you ruin your country, then you're like, okay, let's bring some Jews to fix it. And then at some point, some countries were like, forgot that this is what you're supposed to do, and now they're just collapsing. Fun stuff, right? Anyway, yeah. And I also want to say that there is something very, very sinister or very dangerous in the way people think right now, because America is based on individualism and the belief that every person is a person and should be judged as a person. And she starts here with the Jews don't want to take accountability, which means there is no individuality, but only collective. And that's not a fun game to play. When you're just a collective, at some point you'll be just black, and black people commit more crimes, so you're a problem. Or you'll be just Christian, and Christian people are just, I don't know what Christians do, honestly. Conservative, just too conservative. They hate gays, I don't know, whatever label. And it's and then you chase all of them. Maybe there are black people that are good, actually. And it just that it's a never-ending game when you start with collectivism. It's always a good thing to remember, to give people a choice. You see, you can also give Jews a choice. Be like, listen, we don't like the way you are in the government, step down. And they'll be like, all right. And then they choose, and then, but most Jews are not in the government anyway, to begin with. And you don't want Jews to be doctors? All right, they're gonna go work somewhere else. I don't know, give them a choice. It doesn't make sense what you want out of Jews. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It hurts you as well. But, you can't fight stupidity. You can only guide it, navigate it. Tell them that there are better ways. You don't want Jews, maybe offer, suggest, say, hey, Jews, we don't like you. So, I don't know, just decide what you want to do about it. Here are the options. Just give options, and I think it's more fair. Just the Gazans, Hamas has an option. They could have given up and they would have lived a good life right now, but they didn't. It was their choice. And if they want to choose to fight to the last person, they can choose to fight the last person. And then if the Jews would not, no matter how much you cry and shout about how much you dislike them, they would still want to hold power, then I think it's fair to, to be like, you know what, this is our terms. Because I do think that Jews carry an ideology. So you can look at Jews the way you look at communists or jihadists or whatever. Jews have an ideology. That's what makes them Jewish. If you don't like the Jewish ideology, which is, by the way, a very good one that usually leads to success and thriving, if you don't want that, that's also okay. But, be fair, give a choice, I don't know, something. All right, everybody, thank you all for being here, for watching this. Like, comment, subscribe, and please do consider supporting this channel by going to PayPal, Patreon, or Buy Me Coffee, because I cannot continue doing this unless you support. That's the reality of it. I have to eat sometimes, and I work a lot on that, so thank you. That would really help me. Thank you all for being here, and see you later.